repair, all in-house.
You know, Mickey's never right, but we have him on because we love him. He's a friend of ours. And but yesterday, Mickey, DallasCowboys.com, told us that Micah Parsons was going to be the pick. Did he not, Paul Craig?
That's what he likes, and I like Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and now they would love to have also had the chance at Horn or Surtain, but Parsons is the pick at number 12. Is that right? And he was introduced earlier today. Mickey Spagnola giving us a bonus coverage today from DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, that's who you wanted.
See, it's about time people figured out I'm always right.
Yeah, now, honestly, and I know what Jerry said about the board, but if, in fact, either one of Horn or Surtain were available at 10, would they have kept the pick and taken a corner?
You know, I did an interview, and I think I told you that it's like, and they wanted to know who the Cowboys were going to take. Well, I basically told them who I wanted, and then they said, we don't care what you want. We want to know what the Cowboys want. And I gave up, and I said one of the corners. And I don't know. I think they probably would have done that. But you know what? They planned well enough and went over scenarios where both of the guys were gone. Now, what do we do? You know, and they might have even gone through it with both of the guys are gone, and so is Parsons. What are we going to do? And so, you know, it played out, and they knew what they wanted to do, traded back, a couple spots, had done their reconnaissance, knowing what Philadelphia wanted, and they were figuring that the Giants wanted the same thing. That's why Philadelphia was moving up ahead of them and figured, okay, we can, get a third-round pick for our trouble and still get Micah Parsons. And they were able to do so, and awfully happy about it. And as it turns out, he was their highest-rated defensive player on the board. So, again, we get into this draft talk, right? And everybody's like, oh, best player available, right? Well, he was the best defensive player available on their board because he was the number one guy. And they took him, and people still want to criticize the pick. I don't understand it. He came in here today, and he wowed everybody. Came in with his entire family. I think it was 3 brothers, a sister, mom and dad, and his son that's going to turn 3 years old tomorrow. Introduced every one of them. And they asked him, where did you inherit your speed genes from? He goes, well, it certainly wasn't from my father. He was a slow football player, and it wasn't from my mother because she was a slow track person. So it must have came from God, So, but he handled himself so well, and I'm thinking if he only handles himself that well on the football field, the Cowboys would have hit a home run selecting this guy.
Mickey, the Giants made a trade right after them. Of course, they went back down to 20. Is that why they got so much more than the Cowboys, because they went down 8 picks?
Oh, obviously, and I think the Cowboys had that opportunity, and they realized they didn't want to go that far because they knew how much they would be giving up to go back and pick 10 picks later. So that was too far for them to go. It was way too far. I was thinking the furthest if they traded back, they needed to go was 15 if New England felt like they needed to move up to 10 to get a quarterback. And even at that, you better have about 3 or 4 guys available that you'd really want. Well, when the cornerbacks went, I was hesitant about trading back too far and taking a chance that now what do I do? Am I taking a lesser player? But it worked. And again, I heard a weird thing today. Somebody was doing a promo on one of the stations here, and some guy from last night said Micah Parsons was the number 1 linebacker, but the Cowboys didn't need the number 1 linebacker. And I'm going, huh? What? Are you serious? Did I just hear that? Yes, they did. Because as I've been telling you guys, they got 2 linebackers, and that's it. And one of them's not very versatile. So this guy can play all 3 spots, according to McCarthy, and told a pretty funny anecdote that they were, analyzing some defensive ends. They were on the film, and they're looking at their guy's pass rush, and they got done, and they looked at each other, and McCarthy said, you know what? The best pass rusher we looked at today was Micah Parsons as a linebacker. So, again, he's so versatile. They can use him in so many different spots. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the draft pick, that he's not just this. He's this, and this, and I think that makes him. Awfully versatile and awfully valuable to the football team. And the other thing I like, I mean, it may sound weird. He said, I don't have a quiet personality, but I'm quiet, and it kind of made sense. But he also is kind of edgy from everything I hear. And this team needs an edgy defensive player. I mean, think about it. Who's the bad mother on that team?
Jalen Smith
defense
acts like it a lot of times.
Jalen's.
But he ain't.
No,
Right.
No.
Yeah, there's not really one.
After DeMarcus Lawrence, I mean, where do you go? So they need this. They need an infusion of some Charles Haley on the field on this defense. And I think, when they talked about it, they talked about how they're hoping that his personality rubs off on this football team.
Mickey, I know that in later rounds sometimes we'll see like the Giants and the Cowboys or the Eagles and the Washington swap, 6th, 7th, whatever. But how often have you seen a first-round trade within the division over the years?
I think the Cowboys have done it. I think they did it with Philadelphia. I want to say once before, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was with Washington. Not often, but as Jerry pointed out, he said the value we were getting, kind of superseded doing it with somebody within your division. Because had they not done that, and Philadelphia, had not taken the Devontae Smith, right? Mm-hmm. The Giants were going to take him. So one way or another, he was going to end up in the division. So it really didn't matter,
right?
If they had traded or not, because that's where the Giants wanted to go. And then they ended up taking Tony, right? The wide receiver from Florida. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yep.
So that's what they would have done. So one way or another, the Heisman Trophy winner was going to end up in the NFC East.
Do you think
so? You got the Heisman Trophy winner with one pick. You got the Butkus Award winner for the best linebacker with another pick, and that was 2 years ago in 2019.
Mickey, do you think that they'll use all three of those third-round picks tonight, or do you think those might get packaged?
They say they want to use them all. Stephen talked last night at the press conference talking about because of their salary cap constraints, the best way to stock your team is with young players, taking young players and having them make your team because it's cheaper to have a rookie on the team than some veteran. I don't know that they'll consciously say we got to take defense. We got to take defense because if there's an offensive tackle worthy of coming in right away and being the backup swing tackle, they got to grab that guy. That position's been a thorn in their side for 3 or 4 years now. So I could see them doing that. But other than that, a corner, a defensive tackle, a safety, you name it. They need it to help restock that defense.
Mickey, have you ever seen the Cowboys have this many picks between rounds 2 and 3? I know the way the draft is set up is different. Did Jimmy have that many early on when they were trading for? Yeah,
I think so. I think so. So what they're going to end up with, David, like 5 in the top 99, right? And I think after the Herschel Walker trade, combined with when they traded Steve Walsh to the Saints, mm-hmm. I think they might have had that many picks in the first 3 rounds. Although they might have moved around, right? Traded some of the picks to move up to take a particular player. But I think they might have, and that was the beauty back then because everybody said, well, they had all those picks. Well, you know what the value of all those picks were? When you missed on 1 or 2, it wasn't glaring like it is if you only have 1, right? Because they had some third-round picks they took in those early years that didn't even make it out of training camp, right? But no one remembers those guys. They just remember the good picks. So he wasn't perfect with all those top 3-round picks that they had.
Yeah, Mickey, if you look back at a lot of Jimmy Johnson's drafts, like there's a whole lot of guys you'll be like, who? In the second round, but he had 3 second-round picks. So
right. And you forget about it, right? It's like, okay, no problem, right? It's forget about it, because I got Mark Stepnoski in the third round, I got Daryl Johnson in the second round, I got Eric Williams in the third round. Heck, I got Leon Lett in the seventh round. So, yeah, you forget about the ones they miss.
It's kind of like the buffet mentality. Like if you go to a buffet restaurant, if you eat enough food, some of it's going to be good, and you might forget about this stuff on the buffet that was just total garbage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so they got they got some wiggle room today, and we'll see if they use it or if they take four guys. I would imagine that they can trade around. And, I was thinking last night, you guys, that maybe they take a third round pick and package it with the second to get back into the first round. And they said they thought about it, and then they cited, no, the picks are too valuable for us to do that. But, if you're in the third round and you use a fourth round pick or a fifth round pick to just move up a couple spots to get a guy that, you absolutely don't want to lose, I could see them doing that. Because 11 draft choices will not make this team. It's just not going to happen. So you might as well, use that draft capital to kind of manipulate the second and third rounds if indeed you need it. I mean, think about last year what they did. They were in the fifth round and they used a fifth round pick and something to move into the fourth at the end to get Tyler Biotish. He's going to be their starting center. So I could see them doing stuff like that. They should.
Excuse me. Could you see them having interest? You just mentioned Biotish, who I heard, seems to be the guy. You're right. But what if Creed Humphrey's available, the kid from Oklahoma, the center from Oklahoma? Or is that just like getting somebody that you don't feel like you need?
I would think if they were interested in him, then they would have to think he was versatile, that he could play guard center. Because you always need one of those guys that can be, the either-or guy, sort of what Joe Looney has done the last few years. He could back up at center. He could back up at guard. And they haven't re-signed him yet, and I don't know if they're going to. And that's another one of those where you're hoping you get a young guy to take that spot instead of having to pay even the veteran minimum. You're getting up to $800,000, $900,000, almost $1 million if you can get a guy for $500,000 or $600,000. So every thousand counts when you're that tight against the cap. And they do have a guy, Connor McGovern. If he may challenge Connor Williams for the starting guard spot, but if not, they work with him at center and maybe he can be the center guard backup. But you need somebody like that. So that's where that guy would fit in if he was a multiple positional player.
All right, Mickey Spagnola with us, DallasCowboys.com. What does this mean for Leighton Vander Esch?
I don't think it affects him. To me, it's what does it mean to Jalen Smith? He's the one that he was playing the position, the weak side spot that this guy would play if indeed they only have two on the field. Now at least they can put three guys on the field and play a 4-3 base instead of screwing around with that nickel against two tight end offense, right? I don't know if they're debating on picking up the fifth-year option, which has got to be done by Monday. Because even if you don't pick it up, that doesn't mean he's gone. You can continue to negotiate with a long-term deal, an extension. It's not like the franchise tag. And he could play out the year and you can do something in the off season if indeed he proves that, it stays healthy and is the player he was in his rookie year when he was healthy. But I sort of like the answer Mike McCarthy had yesterday when somebody asked him, what effect does drafting Micah Parsons have on Leighton Vander Esch? And he said, it makes us better. And he didn't mean better, like better than Vander Esch. It means it makes our team better because now we got three versatile linebackers that can play, all the spots. So I thought that was a key thing. It's not like they're down on Vander Esch. I think they're just and you know what they might be doing? I mean, his fifth-year option is $9.1 million. Maybe they're trying to sign him to an extension and lower the cap impact for this year, because those are some of the things they need to do. So if you signed a guy for like a 2 or 3 year extension, and you probably could hear I'm outside now, Jets are coming over. That might be Micah Parsons heading home. I don't know.
Who knows? It might be a
but anyway,
flyover.
if you can, sign him to an extension, give him a signing bonus and spread it out over, 2 or 3 years, then that $9 million cap impact, comes down. So maybe they're waiting to the last minute to see if they can squeeze out a deal like that with him.
All right. Anything else, guys? Mickey, thank you for the extra coverage. And
Sure.
You nailed it. Thanks for your time. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com with us. Normally Thursdays, and he was yesterday on with us on the draft before round 1 and now before rounds 2 and 3 tonight. To me, this is the draft. I know that if you hit a 5th-round pick, and, of course, the Tom Brady thing's insane or others, but tonight, to me, this is when you win.
The drafts that I listed yesterday that were good for the Cowboys, the reason I picked those is that it wasn't just that, they found Bob Hayes in the 7th round. I mean, he was the